Hello and welcome to Anatomy and Physiology. For this video, we're going to cover the following learning objectives. So here I have them listed, and here's the chapter of the book, the e-text that you can find these in. So this learning objective is basically all the questions that you need to be able to answer for your tests, quizzes, and practicals. All right, so form. So we're going to give the definitions of anatomy and physiology. So starting with anatomy, it's the study of the structure of the body parts and their relationships to each other. Physiology is the study of function of the body and how the body parts work to carry out life-sustaining activities. So let's look at another screen, and here we have some pictures. So anatomy, the study of the body's structure, and physiology, the study of the body's function. So when we have these two pictures right here, we have the picture of the heart. We have it sliced open here so that you can see the internal chambers. We have the valves out here, okay? So we're not looking at this picture so that you learn the parts of the heart. We're looking at it so that you understand that the anatomy is the parts that you can see, the structural parts, as compared to this diagram over here, which is an EKG report, and this is showing the electrical impulses of the heart. So on this side, you don't see any structure. It's just what's happening on the inside. So this is the function of the heart, how it's functioning. These structures are giving off electrical impulses, and this is the reading of the impulses. So this would be the physiology of the heart, where the structures that you can see is the anatomy of the heart. So let's look at this here. These are some examples, and that way we can kind of give you some examples to try it out. The hormone insulin is released when blood glucose levels increase. All right, so it's a hormone, insulin. We can't see any body parts, and it's what's happening because of the release. So this would be more of a physiology, okay? The second one, 2 major blood vessels enter the liver, the hepatic portal vein, and the hepatic artery. This, they're listing out structural items that if you looked at the picture, you could see it. Okay, it's not saying anything about how it works. So that one would be anatomy. All right. This one, electrical charge in neurons is maintained through a gradient of ions across the cell membrane. All right, so we do have a cell membrane, but all this other stuff, electrical charge, neurons, that's maintained through a gradient of ions, this is stuff that you're not going to be able to see. So this is going to be more physiology. Ligaments and tendons are largely composed of collagen fibers. So you can see ligaments, you can see tendons, you can, in the books, you can see the collagen fibers. It's not saying how their function is at all. So that's anatomy. All right, there are 206 named bones in the human body. It's just anatomy. All right, and the last one, activation of the sympathetic nervous system will increase heart rate and elevate blood pressure. These are all like action things. Activation, the sympathetic nervous system, increase the heart rate, elevate the blood pressure. That's more of a physiology, how something's functioning, not so much the actual structural items. Okay, so once again, if it's showing body parts, things that you can see, it's going to go with anatomy. If it's showing how something's functioning, then you're going to go more towards physiology. All right, next slide. Okay, this one is explaining the different subdivisions of anatomy. First, we have gross or macroscopic anatomy, and that's macro. So these are large. So anatomy is the study of a large body structures visible to the naked eye. So these are going to be like looking at someone's feet or their hands, something that you don't need like a microscope to look at. Regional anatomy. Okay, this is going to be all the structures in a particular area of the body, such as the abdominal area or the skin area or the lower extremity. So that's going to be the ankle, the knee, the foot. Systemic anatomy or system anatomy looks at just one system, the cardiovascular, nervous, or muscular system. And then surface anatomy looks at internal structures as they relate to overlying skin. Okay, so this would be visible muscle masses or veins seen on the surface. So, for instance, when a nurse is going to try to take your blood, they're looking for those veins by pushing on your skin and feeling those veins underneath. Okay, so that would be surface anatomy. All right. Microscopic anatomy deals with structures too small to be seen with the naked eye. So examples of this would be cytology, the study of cells, and histology, the study of tissues. We're going to learn more about that. And these are things that you'll learn more in lab as well, because we're going to be using the microscope on certain lab days. Developmental anatomy. This traces the structural changes that occur throughout the lifespan. So this would be if you take a person and we're looking at how their structures change. So you'll see that there's a difference in a baby, their structures and their anatomical structures, compared to like a 10th grader, okay? A lot bigger, a lot more mature, and so on, compared to an old person, like a 70-year-old, okay? There's going to be changes in their skin. There's going to be changes in their appearance. You know, the older person's going to have wrinkles. The baby's not going to have wrinkles. So that's developmental anatomy. Embryology is the study that is happening of the developmental changes that's happening before birth. So while the baby is in the womb. Okay. Subdivisions of physiology. Okay, these are based on organ systems. Some example is renal physiology. So that would be studying anything that has to do with the kidney. So how the kidney functions. Neurophysiology, anything with the study of the functions of the nervous system. And cardiovascular physiology, that's going to be the heart and blood vessels, vascular, and how it works, the function. All right. The physiology often focuses on events at the cellular or molecular level. So that looks at how the body's abilities are dependent on chemical reactions in individual cells. So to study physiology, you have to understand the basic chemical and physical properties, such as electrical currents, pressure, lever systems, etc. All right, this is another important thing. This is called the complementarity of structure and functions. This is explaining that anatomy and physiology are a package deal. What you get with one, it has other things that go together with it. Okay, you can't have one without the other. So the function always reflects the structure. What a structure can do depends on its form, so such as the teeth. So if the lady here takes the carrot and bites it with the front teeth, okay, those are sharp edges of incisor teeth. That makes them ideal for cutting things like scissors, okay? Whereas if she takes it and puts it on the back teeth, the molars, those are more for like grinding and, crushing food. So even though they're teeth, they have different shapes, different sizes, and that helps to determine the different functions that they have. And that's known as the principle of complementarity of structure and function. All right, the next learning objectives Describe from simplest to most complex the major levels of organization in the human organism, and then provide an example of each level of organism. All right, so the body's organization ranges from atoms to the entire organism. So the levels of structural organization of the body from simplest to complex are listed here. So we start with chemical level, and that's going to be your atoms and molecules. The cellular level, so that's going to be multiple of these put together to form cells and organelles. Okay. The next level would be the tissue level. So that would be groups of similar cells. So you gather these up together and they form a tissue. Okay, so do you see a pattern here? You group these together, they form the cellular level. You group cells together, more organelles together, they form the tissue level. You group similar cells together, they'll create an organ. Okay, 2 or more types of tissues. Okay, organ system level, organs that work close together. And then organismal level, that's the entire organism, everything working as in unison. So this picture basically goes over that. So we start with the chemical level. This is where the atoms combine to form molecules. Okay. Then we go to the cellular level, where multiple cells group together and they form an organelle. And the multiple organelles can go together and form a structure, okay, such as a smooth muscle cell. So now we have a cell. You put multiple cells together and you can form smooth muscle tissue. So that's the tissue level. You put multiple tissues together. So here we have smooth muscle tissue, connective tissue, epithelial tissue, all in one blood vessel. And now you have an organ. So this would be the vascular, or the blood vessel, a vein or an artery. Okay, you put multiple of those together, and you'll have an organ system, like the cardiovascular system. And then when you have organ systems closely working together, it creates the human or the whole organism. And that's where everything is working to build on each other around, from the most simplest to the most complex. Okay, should definitely know how to list these out, because that is usually always a test question. List out these steps from smallest to largest, or largest to smallest, one way or the other. All right, the last learning objective is a survey of body systems. List the organ systems of the human body and their major organs, and then identify the major functions of each organ system. All right, so this is the 11 organ systems that our bodies have. Today is just a quick overview, and these are usually end up to be a whole module later on down the road. Okay, so today it's just about learning their names, learning what organs are in them, and what the function is. All right, so here is the integumentary system. Forms the external body covering, protects the tissues from on the inside. Basically, it's our skin, our hair, our nails. Okay. The next one is the skeletal system. So that would be all of your bones and your joints. This protects and supports the body organs and provides a framework for muscles to use for movement. So blood cells formed within bones, bones store minerals. Okay. Next will be the muscular system. This allows the movement of the bones. So when the muscles contract, that's what actually moves all of your bones. When your facial muscles contract, it makes you smile. Okay. Next is the nervous system. This is composed of the brain, the spinal cord, and all the nerves. So, fast-acting control system of the body. It responds to internal and external changes that cause other reactions. Okay, so this would be working like if you put your hand on something hot and all of a sudden you jerk back. Okay, that's those signals, fast acting signals. They're there to protect you, basically. All right, endocrine system. This is the glands that secrete hormones that regulate certain processes in our body. Okay, the organs that are part of that is the pituitary gland, all the ones listed here. Cardiovascular system. So this is what carries blood vessels that transport blood, carry oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients, waste, and the heart is what actually pumps the blood all over your body. The lymphatic system. Okay, this is what picks up waste and it takes it to the blood so that it can be taken out through the lymphatic system. These house the white blood cells, lymphocytes. It's involved in immunity, and this is what gives the immune response when there's a foreign substance in your body. All right, next is the respiratory system. This keeps blood constantly supplied with oxygen, and that's what gets all the oxygen around to your entire body is from the lungs. And these are the organs that's involved with that. The digestive system, okay, breaks down food into absorbable units or smaller units that can enter the bloodstream. And then whatever's not used is brought out as feces. Okay, the organs are liver, stomach, small intestine, rectum, anus, large intestine, esophagus, and oral cavity. The urinary system. This is what eliminates nitrogenous waste from the body, regulates water, electrolyte, and acid-base balance of the blood. So this is what creates your urine. So kidney, ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra. Okay, and the male and female reproductive systems. These are all the organs of those. And their overall function is to produce offspring. Okay, the male produces the sperm, the female produces the egg, and so on. All right, and that's the end of this slideshow.